good break. Whoa, look, you're on screen. Woo!
Yeah, me and my gray hair.
Permanently. As everyone took a sip of CBD, you look a little high there. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I know Gay's had too much CBD today. She may have spiked it with something else. All right. I would like to introduce you guys to Dr. Joanna Sue. She is, not only is she an awesome physician with the Orange County Health Care Agency, a healthcare officer for over 20 years, taking care of vulnerable youth. Have you heard of Orangewood Children's and Family Center? So troubled teens. She works closely with social services, community partners. She pioneered the juvenile hall system's first comprehensive medication-assisted program for opioid use disorder so that they can take something else. Her work with youth facing trauma, homelessness, addiction, abuse, reshaped her approach to medicine, shifting her focus from disease care to whole person care. Guided by her belief that every child, every adult should matter, it often reflects on their challenges with the phrase, if they come from negatives, how can they get to zero? Joanna's going to retire next week. Wow.
From the county.
But she's going to retire from the health care agency, not to sit home and watch Netflix.
That too.
But she's going to watch HBO Max.
Netflix.
I'm just kidding. But she's going to actually focus in a new direction on what she's going to teach you guys today, which is holistic health. And I'm looking forward to her presentation. She's actually known me, we've known each other since around age 18-ish or so, which is why her hair is gray. Hanging out with me. It's really hanging out with me. Oh, yes. She's a medical missionary. Yeah, Joanna is also a medical missionary. We've been to Haiti together, taking care of children in Haiti. We're both heading to Peru for Amazon Jungle Medicine this July. I'm bringing a team there, so Joanna's on the team, and I guess you're signed up for Uganda next year with that. Welcome. Oh, wait.
Okay, thank you all. Thank you, Dr. Chen. So, actually, it's not this one. It's actually not this one. Eric, it's actually not this one. Slides up. I would like you guys to do something really quick. So one, if you guys are able to, you're all able to, write down something that you feel right now, emotionally. If you can write a word, how do you feel emotionally right now? And then two, are there any tension in your body and where do you feel it? If you can write that down also. And then lastly, how do you want to feel? So my talk is based on inner vibrational healing, and it's a modality of healing based on the fascia and the vagus nerve. Dr. Chen, Dr. Pak, and Dr. Han all talk a lot about inflammation, the autonomic system, and all these things. And I just kind of want to tie it in terms of how you can do certain things to help you with all these to regulate your health. So the inner vibrational healing, a modality healing based on vagus nerve and our fascia. So we did that. Next. Okay, next slide. So why do I believe that the vagus nerve and the fascia is a gateway to health and longevity? Next slide. The answer to that question lies in this question. Do you all believe that emotional stress causes disease via our disease? Yes or no? Let's show of hands. Yes. So if that's true, next slide. So if the emotional stress causes disease via, next slide, sorry. So if disease due to stress, then would ease be a gateway to a health, right? Next slide, please. So why does ease matter? As Dr. Trent says, disease starts as a thought or emotion and then a body response. So let's do 2 visualization exercises. 1, what I want you to do is imagine your neighbor calling you right now and saying to you, your house is on fire. So what thoughts are going through your head? What emotion are you feeling? And how is your body reacting right now? So let's go to a different scenario. I want you all to close your eyes and imagine yourself going back to a younger version of yourself. Whenever that might be, when you're a little child, you're in elementary school, you're in high school, you're in college, wherever it might be, whatever experience that might be, good or bad. So see a version of your younger self and give your younger self a big hug. Tell him or her that he or she has done amazing because you're here. Give that younger version of yourself a big hug and show you how much you love that younger version of yourself because he or she has made it, right? Because you're all here. So what you just did is you took yourself from a state of stress to a state of ease. How long did that take? A few seconds, right? What does that say to you? Your body is able to heal and transform how you feel, right? Because our body can heal. Why is that? You can demonstrate by a small cut. In a few days, you'll heal. No scars, unless you keep on picking at it or whatever, right? Cause trauma. So imagine if you're in a constant state of stress, that first state, every day. How would you feel in a week, in a year, in 5 years? Versus if you're in that state of ease, how would you feel in 5 years? Who would be healthier? Who would feel better? Who would look younger? What do you think? I think the younger, the one at ease, right? So next slide, please. So how do we get to ease? I propose a vagus nerve and a fascia. Dr. Trent talked about the vagus nerve. It's our rest and digest, right? But one of the things that's the least made emphasis is that 80% of the vagus nerve is the sensory nerve. What does that mean? Every organ that it touches allows our central nervous system to know what's going on in our body. So in a sense, it's a modulator, right? We feel as a person through our skin, but the vagus nerve is a sensory system for our nervous system. What about fascia? A lot of us know the fascia as if you eat a chicken, you peel the skin, you see that fibrous layer, right? It's a layer that surrounds the muscle, nothing else. When you do anatomy, it's a cadaver, it's that dry layer connected to tissue. But in reality, it's a very spacious, gelatinous layer of crystalline water substance. And all the nerves, all the blood vessels, all the lymphatics go through there. It not only touches and contains the organs, but it also allows all these systems to reside. So in a sense, imagine your body as a gel, right? With all the organs in there. And it's depending on which organ, depending on where, it's more gelatinous versus more like hard, kind of like along the bones, right? But it sustains us, keeps us in form. So imagine like you wearing a Michelin jacket, right? It protects us. It allows us to sense everything that's inside, but maybe outside too. As you can see, 80% vagus nerve is sensory, and 200 million nerve endings are within the fascia, which is more than the skin and more than the muscle. So what you're feeling when you have that muscle ache, it actually might be fascia because it has more sensory receptors than the skin and the muscle. So majority of it is water. So that's why it's so important we drink a lot of water, and we'll talk about that later. So next slide. Oh, so maybe it has, I don't know if you guys saw the last sentence. Allows us, provide us an unconscious sense of self internally, right? Even though we don't know it. But those two systems kind of let our whole body, our nervous system, know what's going on. So next slide. Thank you. We all know about the vagus nerve. It's called the wandering nerve. It goes everywhere. It starts at, it's the longest cranial nerve. It starts at a level of our ear, goes down our neck, to our chest, to our abdomen. So that's why it's called a wandering nerve. Everywhere it touches, it innervates. 80% is sensory, 20% is motor. The motor part allows us to swallow, allows us to speak. But the Greeks call it the nerve of the spirit. They must know something that we don't, right? So one of the things about the vagus nerve is that it also regulates the immune system. So the gut-brain axis is communicated via the vagus nerve. Next slide. So there are devices right now that are used via the vagus nerve stems that are implantable, just like a pacemaker that stimulates the vagus nerve. FDA have approved it for headaches, seizures, and depression. And there are transcutaneous ones that you can put in your ear because, as I said, it starts on an ear level, right? So there's actually an acupuncture point right here that you can use, and that's why they use the transcutaneous. But there are other studies that targeting on inflammation, working on all these conditions. Next slide. So the fascia, as you can see here, what I talk about, it's all the blood vessels, lymphatics, the nerve endings, they're all going through there. It's very, very spacious. It's think of it as a suspension bridge full of cables and wires going through our body, but full of gel and spaces. So if you look at the next video, this is the fascia magnified 25 times. See how it's gelatinous, it's shining? It seems like it's very liquid, full of water. Can you play it? So it's like a spider web. It's full of space. It's like a tree. It branches. It comes together depending on trauma, depending on what happens to it. It sticks. They can bind together. They can separate. You see the blood vessels behind it. They're in different layers. So it's not what we think of it as that dry layer sheet that covers the muscle, right? It's suspense. It has tension. A lot of sensory receptors are in there, and so is hormone receptors. So our proprioception, to allow us to know where we are in space, is governed by this, because the proprioceptors are in the fascia. So when you know where you are in space, that's because of it. When you bounce, you're not working on your muscle, you're not on your joints, you bounce, that's the fascia moving you. So fat. You gotta go back. Yeah. Oops. So one part of the video, what it talks about is the fascia kind of prepares us. So when you're ready to fight or flight or get attacked, get cut, your fascia kind of clamps up. It clamps up to be ready for what's going to come. And one of the functions, it clamps up because all the blood vessels and nerves are there. That is probably why you don't feel that pain initially when you get hit. That's probably why you don't bleed right away when you get a cut. It's because the fascia is preparing you. So you don't know in your mind, your body, your muscle don't even know it yet, but your fascia is aware. It's preparing you. And you all gone to those situations where you're ready to fight, right? It's actually the fascia preparing you, protecting you. So these are ligaments, it's gliding, muscles, it's around the muscles. So it's everywhere. As you can see, it's very spacious. And it's tensile, it's mobile. It changes around the bone, fat. It's almost like fiber optics, right? It reflects light. It transfers information very fast, faster than our nerves. So if you look at the last sentence, which is amazing when I saw it. Neuroscientists believe it is a structure that carries consciousness. So we'll talk about that a little bit later too. Next slide. So when a fascia is healthy, we glide because you saw how it's very fluid, right? Gel-like. So when we are healthy, the fascia is healthy, it glides. It dances like a dancer, right? That's why it's called a fascia dance. This is AI, but as you can see how it glides when you're healthy, right? It's mobile, it moves every dimension. But what happens when it's not healthy? Actually, no. So this is a dancer, right? Who does this remind you of? Next slide. A healthy kid without worry, right? They can tumble, they can do anything. They got hurt, they stand up, right? They can glide. What if the fascia is not working well? When we are in such tension? Because earlier, when we did the exercise, when I say, hey, somebody called you, your house is on fire, didn't your body tense up, right? Stress, worry, what happens? Next slide. Cause adhesions in our fascia, that's why you have pain, trigger points. These are all fascia. Scarring, compression, thickening. What does it do? Physical pain. Maybe that's what fibromyalgia is. Because for women, what do? We tend to suppress our emotions, right? Then what happens? We keep that tension. So chronically, because the fascia has so many sensory receptors, maybe that's why we have so much pain as women. So emotion, our tension, is very important to how it affects our fascia. Psychosomatic, it's true. If you go see a doctor, oh, your pain, your stomach pain, the upset is psychosomatic. But it's real, because maybe it's our fascia telling us something. It's we keeping some type of emotion within us that needs to be released. How? It's mostly related to stress, right? So how do we do that? We gotta keep our fascia healthy. We can do everything else, but what I believe we need to do most is keeping our fascia healthy. So next slide. So how do we get to ease? We'll talk about ease, the stress versus the ease. So how do we get to ease? Engage in our vagus nerve and care for our fascia. There are 7 things I believe is important, but there are definitely more. You all did the imagination exercise earlier, right? So you can tell how imagination is important. Where you focus your thought in, right? Where do you live your world in? 2, breath work. 3, movement. 4, vibration. 5, frequency, meditation and flow, and language of emotion. This might kind of seem foo-foo, right? But you'll see why as we talk about it more. Next slide. So breath work. I don't know if you all have read that book, but majority of us breathe wrong, probably 80% of us. Because right now as we breathe, do you even notice you're breathing? Probably not, because we think that breath is passive, it's not work. So why is breath work? Majority of us are not using the correct muscles in a sense, or we're not even using our muscles when we breathe, because we think it's passive. When we're breathing, we're just breathing, right? Air come in and come out, we don't think about it. If we have to actively think about it, we'll probably not well because we're having anxiety attack. Or we can't breathe, something's going on. But in reality, breath is work. And what does that mean? Correct breathing is via our abdominal diaphragmatic breathing. And as medical fields, we all know that babies are abdominal breathers, right? Their rib cage, the muscles are too weak, so they depend on their stomach muscle to breathe. Expand, air go in, compress, air go out. But when you do this, the diaphragm is actually going down. What happens when your diaphragm goes down? Your rib cage is open. You're getting more air. So try that right now. Breathe through your stomach. right? Your diaphragm is going down. Your rib cage automatically opens. So you are opening up your chest cavity, allowing more air to go in. So when you do that, it's an extended inhale. When you exhale, it's an extended exhale, right? Breath is work. But where you breathe from, the rate and duration, all those are important too. Because what the book said was, the author and another participant was in a Stanford study. And what they did was they plugged their nose and lived out their day for 2 weeks with their nose plugged. So they only breathed through their mouths. By the end of the 2 weeks, they were miserable. They couldn't sleep. They had sleep apnea problem. They were feeling miserable. So after they took out those plugs and started breathing through their nose and actively engaged in breath work, he actually cured himself with sinus problem. He was feeling so much better. So that's 2 weeks, right? So active state, passage, rate, duration, and how, right? So if you don't remember anything from this talk, if you go home, just engage with your diaphragmatic breathing, you'll do amazing. So next. So there are all different types of breathing exercises you can do. Some are very popular, some are harder, some are easier. But you can Google all this up, or else later I can talk about them more, but that will go over time. So there are all different types of breathing techniques. That depends on breath rate, etc. Yeah. Mouth taping too, because you're breathing through your nose. So there are actually people use surgical tapes, they put it in their mouth, and that's what he did too. He talked about it. So making sure, because why? If you don't use it, you lose it. Because the nose filters the air that goes in. If you're breathing through your mouth only, you're dehydrating yourself too. Okay? So there's other type of breathing though. It's nasal breathing. Which nostril you breathe from. One side or the other side, or both. They all do different things. And also what's called mudra breathing. And we'll talk a little bit about it later. Next. So I want you all to do an exercise with me. And that's why I have this and not this. If you can put your hands together in a prayer position and put it against your chest, and then close your eyes. And what I want you all to do is take 3 gentle breaths. And when you breathe, just feel your hand on your chest. Take 3 gentle breaths. How did you feel after that? This exercise I do with the kids in the juvenile hall because I work in the juvenile hall. I've been there for 20 years. And over the last 2 years, I've been working on this with them more and more because I've changed from a disease-based medicine to trauma-informed care medicine to right now what I call inner vibrational healing. And that's why the title of the talk. So when you did that, I don't know how you felt, but a lot of kids I did that with, they felt calmer, they felt better. So try this. Your thumb to your index finger, take a deep breath. Feel where you're breathing from. Then your 4th finger, your ring finger to your thumb, take a deep breath. Can you tell a difference where you're breathing from? Try the other fingers. Some people tell me they don't feel anything. Some people tell me they breathe better to their chest. Some people breathe better to their abdomen, depending on where they're touching their finger. And that's the idea of meridians. So nostril breathing, alternate nostril breathing. So it's like the right-handedness and left-handedness, right? Right brain, left brain, etc. Same idea. So right-handed people, left brain, we're the thinkers, right? So you're breathing through your, now I'm confused, your right nostril. Do it a few times, a few minutes, right? You're engaging with your left brain, your thinking brain. So if you want to be alert, engaged, try breathing 5 minutes through just one nostril. It's kind of hard, but you can. If you want to be relaxed, that's our right brain, our emotion, right? Our creativity. Breathe through your left nostril. Do it for 5 minutes. And then there's alternate breathing. Breathe in one nose, out the other. In one, out the other. Count to 8, hold, count to 8, etc. Alternate nose breathing. And how you do it? Thumb in, hold it for 1, out. In, same, out. So what are you doing when you do that? You're engaging both sides of your brain. So you can try at home. Next. We talk about breath as work, right? How about movement? A lot of people think about movement is when you go see a doctor, hey, do your cardio, do your resistance training, right? But what does that do to the fascia? If you keep on doing repetitive movements, you're only working in one dimension. They actually cause tension to your fascia. So the best exercise are actually those fluid movements, slow movements, as you saw as a fascia dance, right? And these are why Qigong, Tai Chi, and Yoga are great, because beyond just slow movements in all dimensions, you're working your breath. Because every movement, you work with your breath in and out. So if you don't move, one of the things about the fascia, it glides. You saw how it glides like gel, etc. If you don't move, it actually sticks and feels like a Velcro. So if you wake up from a long night's sleep, in the morning you feel very stiff, it's actually a Velcro. It's not your muscle, not necessarily your joint, it's your Velcro sticking, your fascia sticking together. So maybe that's why if you all have a dog, the dog stretch in the morning after a nap, sleep, but they are doing a down dog, they're stretching their fascia, right? So allowing those space to open because you're gliding your fascia, you're taking care of your fascia. What's housed in there? The lymphatics, the blood vessels, the nerves, they are being decompressed. When you're in stress, they're all compressed. They're not moving well. The lymphatics will not clear your, right? Next slide. So how do you care for the fascia? Another book. I don't know if you all read that book. But we talk about movement. How about hydration? Each one of us should be getting an average about 0.6 ounce per pound a day. So for me, I should be getting 2 liters of water, and that's why the 8 cups of 8 ounces of water. And if you see Dr. Tren's water bottle, that's about 2 liters. And that's on average for maintenance. So if you're exercising, imagine how much more you would need, right? I cannot drink more than 3 cups of 8 ounces, but I'm trying. Healthy diet. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Nature and sunlight. A lot of times when we go out into the sun, people say, put sunblock on, sun's not good for you. But depending on what time you go, the sun's actually very good for you. Vitamin D receptors are in the fascia. Go out there early in the morning, get some sun until you feel that warm, nice warmness. Maybe because we are mostly made of water, that sun is warming your body up, letting that fascia move too. So go out in the sun, because the other reason is that it helps your brain make melatonin at nighttime. You need a complete darkness and the sunlight. So percussion, because you're making your body vibrate. Emotional regulation. So in the book, The Body Keeps the Score, it talks about how our body keeps trauma. And that's why diseases come about, why pain come about. So when you work with emotion, all those issues go away. So I like to give an example of a swing. So if you're sitting on a swing, right, the new swing, it's moving, it's gliding well, it's like our fascia, right? What happens over time? It gets rusted, it's not going to move well. What about your emotion kinks that chain? What's going to happen? Not only is this kinked here, your whole body is shifted. Chronically, you're not going to feel well. So when you release that trauma, whether physical, emotionally, that swing's going to swing back to much a better space. So that's what he talks about. Emotional regulation, body keeps a score. We got to let that go. Next. So a book by Dr. Jo Bolt-Taylor, she's a PhD, a neuroscientist. She actually developed a hemorrhagic stroke, and she was able to recover completely. One of the things she found was that, because she couldn't move for a while, so she got into this research. What she said was our emotions pass in about 90 seconds. So if you allow it to move, it will move. Meaning that don't suppress your emotions. You keep it, you'll make the kink. So you got to allow your emotion to pass through. But depending on the intensity of the emotion, whether it's not as intense or very intense, maybe it'll be 7 seconds, maybe 90 seconds, maybe a little bit more. I don't know. It depends on each person and each emotion, right? But if you keep it longer than that, that's your habit. That's what you want to stay yourself in. That's a choice. So allow our emotion to pass through. Shake it off, right? But you got to allow us to feel those emotions, and that's part of being human. If you suppress it, our fascia will keep it. Next. So what movement sequences can you do? Go out in the sun in the morning, shake it out. At work, I tell the nurses, one day I told the nurses, why don't you just pretend a balloon man, just shake it all out in every dimension, your arms, your shoulder, your neck, your hips, everything, because you're moving your fascia. So if you allow you know, as a dancer, dancers, they flow, but they only flow in one dimension. In their thought, they have to be a certain way. But when you allow yourself to flow every way, freely, you're losing your fascia. Because even a dancer is restricting their fascia because they are only restricting their dance pattern a certain way. So that's the dog, right? The down dog, you know, stretching their fascia. One of the things I love to do is using the trampoline because I can do yoga stretches on it, but I can walk on it for 10 minutes, I'm bouncing, I'm working on my fascia. So next, vibration. So what's vibration? Vibration, we all, you know, we feel it, right? So the study of cymatics is the science of visualizing sound and vibration. Because we feel it, but that doesn't really matter much, right? But imagine you get a tin can full of water, and you hit it with a certain frequency. Depending on how fast you hit it, the water will make patterns, right? That's the whole idea of cymatics and vibration. So this is based on music, frequencies. So depending on what frequency you play with the water, and that could be sand on a steel plate, the water will make certain patterns. So if you can see, depending on what frequency, there should be music. Yeah, so there should be music, but you can see this is disorganized, little pattern, and then when it hits certain frequencies, you'll see a beautiful pattern like that. That's sound on water, right? What did we say our fascia is made of? 70% of water, right? So if it's vibrating inside of us, coherently versus incoherently, what do you think is going to happen? Or if our fascia is stuck together, will it vibrate well? Probably not. So we got to make sure our fascia is in good health and are vibrating well. So what does that mean? Next. Oh, go back, yeah. So they make these patterns on the left side. These are, you know, music on water, the waves that's created. You see on nature, Fibonacci sequence. The right are what's called sacred geometry. They are all linked, right? Next. So imagine, I said it's like cables and wire, but also the fascia look like spider webs, right? So imagine a spider web after the rain, there's tons of water drops on it. And depending on how fast the wind's blowing on it, it will vibrate a certain way, right? So that's the same thing as our body. So I would like you all to do an exercise with me of humming, okay? But we're going to do it 3 times. What we're going to do is going to inhale, like, you know, engage our abdominal muscles, inhale through our nose, and when we exhale, we want to hum out. So it's like this, go, and we're going to all do it together. Do it 3 times, okay? Yes? Ready? Deep breath in, through our nose, and then hum out. Again, in breath. One more time. Did you feel that vibration in your face, your neck, your chest? Did you feel that vibration kind of around us too? That's what you're doing. You're vibrating all that water molecules and fascia in our body. So if you can play that video, Eric, at the bottom, they are Om chantings. And this is the pattern that's created by Om chanting. So when a lot of people get together, the Om chant, that's a pattern that's created in the water, cymatics. Next. So we did that, right? So we talk about breathwork, movement, vibration. This is frequency. You all know when you put an EEG machine measuring brain waves, you get different brain waves, right? Either you are at stress or at rest. It will form different patterns. So we can get to that state by meditation or by listening to certain kind of music. Their music is going to make us very frustrated, stressed. We're going to be in a, what? Beta state, right? But what if you listen to music like very calming and relaxing? You'll be in probably, what? Alpha or theta state. You'll be more relaxed. And that's the idea of what? Frequency. Vibration is internal frequency. You're in syncing with what's around you. So you can get there by listening to music that you like. There's what's called solfeggio frequency music, drums. Maybe that's why the Native American, they drum, right? The vibration and the beating. Maybe that's fascia. They're chanting. Maybe that's all about their fascia. They know something that science stopped wanting to do. Medicine will stop wanting to do, right? Tuning fork. You'll see a video later. Same thing. Tuning fork, you have two tuning forks. You hit one, the other one synchronized, right? Same thing. So, timbal, sound bath, binaural music, all these things. I would like to introduce solfeggio music, though. So, do you know what's solfeggio? Anybody? So the American system of learning piano is based by the notes, so C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. But if you go to a different country, it's by do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? That's solfeggio. So for solfeggio, frequency music is based by those frequencies, using the do, re, mi notes. So next slide. So frequency entrainment, meaning outside getting us to a certain state. I'm going to introduce solfeggio frequency and chakras. So next, definitely solfeggio, we talked a little bit about that, do, re, mi, fa, sol, etc. The aura ring, if you all have an aura ring, even it talks about how certain hertz allow you to get to a restful state. Next. So we all know that color has frequencies, right? Music has frequencies too. Next. So chakra systems has frequencies too, like color. Chakra is a Hindi healing art, but in reality, it corresponds to the ganglion centers, the lymphatics, right? If you look at the neck, it's talking about the throat chakra. Our thymus is here, right? Our thalamus, our thymus is here, thyroid is here, pituitary up here, right? Pineal gland up here, the adrenal gland here. So it actually corresponding to each one of these areas. So, next. Next slide. So this is a example of solfeggio frequency music. Can you play that? Oh, you can't. Anyway, so if you Google it, you'll hear, different frequencies. And some people have used it to help them sleep, to heal certain things because they are focusing on certain part of their chakra. Because earlier when you saw color frequency, music frequency, it's corresponding to the chakra frequency. So if you look at the next slide, this is something you can look up. So let's say you want to work on, I'm just going to say, guilt, fear, negative thoughts. Listen to 396 hertz. Maybe you want to try this 1 hertz one day, every day, and see how you feel. Or maybe you want to focus on one and listen to it for the whole month and see how you feel afterwards. Give it a try. Next. So we talked about all those already, right? Breath work, movement, vibration, frequency, meditation. We all know that meditation has great effects. But a lot of us think that meditation is in stillness. We have to sit and not think about anything. But in reality, it's about the flow state. When you meditate, you get to a flow state where you're so relaxed, nothing is bothering you, right? The external is out. It's gone. You can get that by biking, swimming, running, in creation of art and music. Why is that? That's why they call it runner's high, right? They get into that flow state. Nothing bothers them. They get very relaxed. How about the artists? When they're creating, you keep on telling them, hey, it's lunchtime. They're not going to come and eat. Time doesn't exist. That's their flow state of meditation. It does not have to be in stillness. So if you say that, oh my gosh, I can't sit for whatever number of time, and I can't, things keep on coming in my head, you can get there another way. So next. So how about language or emotion? I think earlier we talked a little bit about it, but let's give it a try. Use your words. I feel a certain way. Pick one. I am a certain way. I don't know if you feel different when you say that, but I feel like when you say, I feel, that emotion is as if your fascia knows that it's going to be temporary. But when you say I am, it's like you're identifying as like my name, you are. So your fascia is kind of saying, this is me, right? So use your words, use your choices of words. It's very important because it allows your fascia to know it's temporary. It's almost like the deer, right? When it is in fright, a cougar or whatever is chasing after it. But as soon as it gets to rest, safety, what does it do? You shake it off. Maybe it's shaking its fascia. Because once it shakes it off, it's back to grazing. It's fine. Maybe that's something we need to do. Need to learn how to shake off emotion in terms of our fascia. Sometimes we might need to shake it longer, sometimes shorter. That's maybe the 7 seconds or the 90 seconds. I don't know how long it takes them. Maybe there should be a study for that. They run less, they shake out less. They run more, they shake out longer. I don't know, right? So, but look at the words. In the beginning was the word, right? What you say, what you think, your emotion, they're all connected. Your fascia, right? Don't let your body keep the score. Use feeling words. Don't identify with it. Let your fascia know that it's only temporary. Next. So we talk about how color has frequency, music has frequency, our emotion has frequency. Why is that? When you say that you're ashamed, guilty, in fear, don't you feel tighter? You are, in a sense, a lower frequency because you're tight. The fascia cannot vibrate well. You're completely tight. Everything is tense up. But when you are in a higher frequency feeling, peace, love, joy, don't you feel more open, more relaxed? Your fascia is vibrating more. So when you keep yourself in more of the higher frequency, you feel better. I like to do something with the kids at work, Gaia. It's an acronym I came up with. I tell them, morning and night. In the morning when you wake up, do the 3 breaths. Do your gratitude. What are you grateful for today? What's your ask for today? What's your intention or your affirmation for today? I tell them to do that. I hope they do it, because I tell them when I'm doing it with them, I ask them, you feel so good right now. How do you think you'll feel in a week, in a year, in 5 years? They tell me better. But it's up to them to do it, right? So next. It's okay. So Gaia in Greek means Mother Earth. That's why I came up with that acronym. But look at those 2 quotes. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your request to God. Affirmation, right? So those are things you can do. Easy, Gaia. Give gratitude, ask intention, and your affirmation of who you are. I am. When you say I am, your fascia believes in it. Positives, right? Positive emotions. Next. So let's do this exercise. I would like you all to close your eyes and put your left hand to your heart and your right hand on top of your left hand. And then close your eyes. And I want you all to imagine the feeling of love. How does the feeling of love feel? How does it feel in your body, and where do you feel in your body? And breathe into it and remember that feeling. And then feel the feeling of joy. How does that feel? And where do you feel in your body? Then breathe into it, remember it. And next, feel the feeling of peace. How does it feel? And where do you feel in your body? And lastly, I don't know if you all remember what word you wrote you want to feel. If you remember it, feel that feeling. Feel that feeling in your body. See how it feels and where do you feel it. And I want you to take a deep breath after that. And if you want to, hum. Because at this point I was supposed to play music and then let you guys hum for 2 minutes. But we can't play the music. So hum however you want, whatever music comes up. Just hum to that music and stay in the emotion that you want to feel. And hum. Whatever music.
We can try this again.
It's okay. So whenever you're ready, you can come out. How does that feel? So what did you do? You engage with your own inner vibration, right? You connect with your body, mind, and spirit. Your vagus nerve and your fascia. That was the music. You're supposed to hum to. You want to hum it now? We can hum it now, but that's the music. But it'll be a nice background because it's relaxing. It's actually my favorite piece of music right now. It's called Meditation 22. Next. So, what can you do every day? You can separate them in different times, or you can do it all in one. But if you're busy, what can you do? Think about it. Nowadays I'm driving, I'm humming. It helps me. So I tell people, what you can do is, when you're walking around, just hum. But what else can you do? So imagine if you're an ICU nurse, and you say, I'm too busy. When you're holding that baby, you can hum, right? If you're an ER nurse, you're going from one room to one room to one room, what can you do? Maybe you do your balloon man walk, right? And your coworker will say, what are you doing? You're working on your fascia, right? Maybe you encourage them to do that. You're bouncing, you're being the balloon man, right? But what if, imagine this, you play music, have them play music that's in certain frequency. It heals you, it heals the patient. Everybody feels better. So one of the things I want to share is my husband a year ago, January, had a cardiac arrest. Bystander did 15 minutes of chest compression, and when the paramedics came, they did 5 more minutes. So he was down for 20 minutes. He was cyanotic, he was ashen. So when we got to the ICU, the doctor told me, usually the protocol is put in my ice bath because when they have stroke, the autonomic system gets messed up. They can generate fever. But that's not always the case, so we'll see what happens. So he went in there Saturday night. Sunday, he started having fever. They put him in an ice bath. But with the ice bath, he was shivering more. His temperature was going up, so they had to paralyze him. So what's going on in my head? I was very scared. What am I going to do, right? What I decided to do was I asked my daughters to bring a speaker from home. I started playing his music. Music that he listened to when he bikes, because he loves to bike. Music that he listened to when he swims in ice cold water, because he does that. And I started telling him, you know what? You've been practicing for this. You'll be okay. You've been practicing for this. This is Saturday night. During that time, he woke up twice, but he was not following commands. So I don't know if he, Monday, he got extubated. He was back to his normal self. Just some amnesia. Anterograde amnesia, but, every day he's asking, what happened? He didn't remember. But now he's playing pickleball. He's complete back to normal. It's been a year. He's a miracle. One of the things that I had him play with the recovery time, because he had a quadruple bypass, was his favorite music, sleep. And when the nurse come in, they said, this room is so calm, so zen, right? So imagine you play that wherever you are, at work or whatever, how would you and everybody around you feel? So next. In medicine, we tend to think of body as organs, separate parts, our lung, our heart, our liver, etc., right? Maybe we should start thinking of systems. Vascular system, nervous system, lymphatic, endocrine system within the fascia. So if the fascia is well, what do you think is going to happen with the rest of those systems? Because all of them are in the fascia. So however your fascia is however they're going to be. If they're blocked, the fascia is blocked, everything will be blocked, right? So work on your fascia. Next. So these are, when I was doing this presentation, I wanted to show some, support, right? So I looked through research, psychological stress and cancer, right? Next. Psychoneuroimmunology is a new field studying about, in a sense, psychology and the immune system, how we fight infection. Next. Vagus nerve, a new player in brain-body communication, right? We've got to focus on that. Next. Fascia as a regulatory system in health and disease. We are rediscovering the fascia over the last 10 years. So it's something new. So in medicine, we really don't talk about it. Next. Posture and stress response. So when you're stressed, your fascia is affected, right? Stress affects our posture, affects our fascia. Next. Hormone receptor in the fascia, we talk about vitamin D, but also estrogen receptors. And that's why postmenopausal women, because the estrogen go down, the receptors are not getting the message. So estrogen actually relaxes the ligaments. It's within the fascial receptors. So when the hormones go down, the fascia is getting stiffer. So that's why it's even more important you do the movements. Next, fascia and fibromyalgia. We'll talk a little bit about that, right? Emotions, being stuck. Next, body sweat, how fascia connects pain, posture, emotion. Next, frequency effect on health. Next, science of sound and how frequency affect the body, mind, and spirit. Next, frequency, healing, and autism. So earlier I talked to you about how so you felt a vibration, right, when you hum. I think nature has made us desensitized with what's going on inside our body, what's outside. Because imagine, we'll be feeling all of those vibrations inside, all those humming, how will we feel? Overstimulated, right? Maybe that's how an autistic patient feel. They feel all the vibrations. That's why they have to do all those STEM. Because you imagine, you can feel it. For us, it feels good. But if they're feeling 24 hours 7, or depending on how their emotion, or outside people's emotion, how would they feel? Too much stimulation. So maybe that's why they STEM, right? Frequency healing, autism, mental health and language. This is about our language to others, but we gotta look at it as our language to ourselves, right? How we use language. Next. Gratitude and health. Next. Emotional states in HRV. HRV is heart rate variability study. It's your heart health condition. Next. So we talk about the vagus nerve, in medicine, how we use the devices to stimulate it. But there are things you can do. Why we talked about it. You can make sure you get enough sleep, all the sleep. But this video, I don't know if you can, okay. So rest, breathing exercise, sunlight, gargling, that activates the vagal nerve because the vagal nerve goes down there. Daily movement, exercise, humming, chanting, singing, laughter, cold exposure. When this part of our face, it's like the dive reflex. It kicks into our vagus nerve. Yoga, meditation. Next. This video is a little bit long, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about it. It talks about how tuning forks, right? You hit one, the second one will start resonating the same frequency. The Tacoma Bridge, you all know that it fell, it collapsed, right? Because of the wind making a certain frequency. It's solid, but it collapsed. So this basically talks about how the scientists are using frequencies to destroy cancer cells. So I believe that fascia, each of us, our fascia is different, just like our DNA and our thumbprint, because of all the emotional traumas that we might have experienced in the past, or physical traumas that we might have experienced. So all of our fascia is different. So that means all our fascia vibrate in different frequencies, and all organs are in different frequencies because of the density. So not one fits all. But that's what they're doing right now. Next. So I don't know if you all know the New Zealand Maori Haka dance. Haka dance. Ha is breath, ka is to ignite or energize. You all know the Rock or Jason Momoa, the Aquaman. You know how they do the. So this video, are you able to play it? So this video actually have a bunch of New Zealand high school students paying tribute to their new teacher, and they were all doing the dance. They were, yelling, moving their body, percussing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think they're actually working on their fascia, and the ancients know it. Science just decided that there's no proof for it, but they are doing it. Because they're doing it innately and they're feeling it all around them. This is a video about how an autistic person feel about stimming. And it talks about how they feel the vibrations, and that's how they, So it's amazing. Next. This is a study, it's called counterclockwise study by Dr. Langer, Yale study in 1979. So in 1979, she took 7 elderly patients, maybe in their 70s or 80s, and then had 2 groups. One group was just imagine you're living as if you're 20 years younger. Another group, they actually put them in a situation they're actually back to where they used to be 20 years ago. The music, the furniture, everything. So the group went in, all, came slow walking because they are in their late 70s, 80s. When they came out, their biomarkers, their appearance, they were able to walk. They aged backward like 20 years. So imagination, how you feel, how you use your environment, how you think, probably is all fascia, right? It's not magic. And maybe the placebo is that, right? Next. Psychology of possibility. Isn't that placebo? Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the placebo is working on our fascia, letting our fascia know there's so much possibilities if we only allow it, right? Next. So could fascia actually be containing our conscious? Fascia provides us with our unconscious sense of self, right? What's happening in our body. It recruits the vagus nerve to regulate our inner being, right? So maybe what the Greeks meant was this. Vagus nerve is the nerve of the spirit, which is the fascia. Not that the vagus nerve is the nerve of the spirit. Next. Why do we need ease? We all say we need to be at ease. Why? Because it's only then can we, the parasympathetic system, allow us to store energy. So that when we really need it, we can be acting on it. and that our body can heal and rest and use our energy to actually repair. But if you are in a constant state of stress, it cannot use that energy to restore. Right? So I hope this helped and you find your own inner healing vibration. So do you guys think it's easy to do and listen to music, humming? Make sure you're breathing through your stomach. Yeah? Any questions?
It's not a question, it's just about breathing with your diaphragm. We have bikers and a long journey, so 5+ hours. We in a sitting position, we start losing that circulation for the lower body, so all our breathing is diaphragm to continue that energy to double the amount of hours.
Yeah. And when you're doing your breath work, actually, you're engaging your diaphragm, which is a massive fascia. So when you breathe, you're moving that fascia muscle. And there's a major collection of lymphatics right there. So when you're moving it, you're making the lymphatics work too, like a pump. So you're circulating all that. But also in the diaphragm there, it's not just the diaphragm there, it's connected to everything else, right? The fascia touches everything, our organs to our cells. So when the fascia is moving, maybe that's part of the CSF fluid movement, the lymphatic movement, the circulation, right? Making all that move. So actively engage with your breath.
The same with swimming, because
Yes.
you either breathe through the nose or through the mouth. You cannot do both. So by closing the mouth and breathing through the nose, that's how the swimming allows and the endurance process to eliminate the cortisol
Yeah.
and bring that. After you swim, you come out of the swimming pool with happiness that the other drugs.
So the flow. And the two more breathing is actually a active meditation, a Tibetan meditation breath work that they use to energize their body. And nowadays, a lot of athletes, the coaches are actually teaching their athletes to do this type of exercise, because when they do the engage in active breathing, when they go in the open water, the cold, they're actually more prepared for it. Instead of when we go in the water, it's like, oh my gosh, that shock, we stop breathing. So when they engage in that breath work, they actually prepare them better for that. So a lot of coaches are doing that now too. All right, thank you.